What is up, everybody? It's Connor here from Geek on Your Face, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit special. I'm not sure, but I hope it's something that you guys have been wanting for a while. I'm going to be going over my complete process that I do in order to make a deck, all my rationales when I'm picking cards, all that kind of stuff. It's basically going to be completely from the bottom to the top. We're starting from scratch, and I'm gonna make a deck live right now. This isn't pre-recorded. This is all live, so you're getting my exact direct thought process when I'm picking cards, and we're just gonna go for it and see what we can do. I've kind of decided on a theme to go with the deck, which is obviously the first step that you want when you're making a deck, and I figured we would go with a level-based deck, so those would be cards like Dark Arm Dragon and stuff that go up in levels and get special summoning requirements based on certain things that you have to meet. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the main monsters of the deck. You have to build your deck around the monsters, because with a deck like this, most of your damage is going to be coming from your monsters. So that's what you're going to have to focus on. You're going to have to focus on supporting those monsters. Let's see. Why am I in D? Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go look for our main monsters, which is what we're going to be focusing the deck around. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find armed dragons. Now, because you always want to have cards to play on your turn, you're going to want to fill the deck up with cards that you're going to be able to play at any given time. So that's why we're going to put 3 armed dragon level 3s in, 3 armed dragon level 5s in. And because this card would be a little bit harder to put on the field right away, we're only going to put in 2 Armed Dragon level 7s and 1 Armed Dragon level 10. So with that, now we have 9 monsters in the deck, and because it's a monster focused deck, we're probably going to wind up with around 20 monsters, 21, around there. And the deck is going to focus mostly on monsters and spell cards, and not so much on trap cards. So what we're going to be doing now, mostly with a deck that is focused around monsters being on the field for most of the time, it's a little bit of a problem to keep them on the field. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using Dark Hole, and that will help us make the field safe for our monsters. But with that comes the possibility of our opponent using Dark Hole or some other spell card to clear the field, and we obviously can't have that because we need the cards on the field to be able to make anything happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the theme going with the levels, and we're going to use Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 4. Now these cards are unaffected by spell cards, so they're good against surviving removal cards, but also if you get all the way up to Horus the Black Flame level 8, your opponent can't use any spell cards during his turn, so that really protects all your monsters. It will protect your armed dragons, all that kind of stuff, as well as being protected itself. So like we did before, we're going to stack up with some smaller cards. We're going to put 3 Horus the Black Flame Dragons in there, and we're going to put 2 Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6s, and we're going to put 2 Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8s. So let's do another level 6. So we have 3 Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 4s, 3 Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 6s, and 2 Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8s. As well as being a good effect card, it has a lot of attack, which is what we're going for in this deck. Now, because we need some ability to get these monsters out on the field, it's going to be important that we kind of make sure that we can get them out in an appropriate time. You see how Armed Dragon level 3, its effect is activated during your standby phase, which obviously you don't have access to your standby phase when you're putting it down in your main phase 1. So what we want to do is have an effect card that brings Armed Dragon level 3 out at a time which we could use its effect during the standby phase. And to do that, we're going to be using a card like Masked Dragon, which is really useful in searching through the deck and getting cards that you need to. Let's find Masked Dragon. Here he is. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 dragon type monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck. That is perfect for what we need right now. Now you see, we don't really need to worry about something like that for Horus the Black Flame, because it's got good enough attack as it is, and with some other cards that we're going to be putting in the deck, we can buff it up enough so that it should be able to activate its effect, which it levels up if it destroys a monster by battle this turn. So that should be relatively easy for us to accomplish. And now we're going to be going into some more support cards and stuff. So now that we're in M, we might as well go get our Mystical Space Typhoon, which is pretty standard in almost every deck. It's good for getting rid of pesky cards on the field, and you could even go 3. I'm going to keep it to 2 for now. You can always come back and add cards in that you see, more copies of cards if you want to. Since we're in M, we're also going to go get, where are you? Mirror Force. This is a good card because the low level monsters that you need to level up need to be protected somehow, so if you can use Mirror Force to keep them alive an extra turn, it's really going to benefit. You could also use something like negate attack to end the battle phase, because Mirror Force might not always end the battle phase, so it's really useful if you need to do that. Now we're going to be going, we're going to look, it's always helpful to go to a tab that is directly, you know, name related to what you're looking for. So we're going to go to level. We're going to go into level. Let's see here. What can we do? We can go here. We can send one face-up level monster you control to the graveyard. Special summon one monster from your hand deck that's listed in the sent monster's text, ignoring its summoning conditions. Now that's really, really important because it'll help us get cards out faster. Say if we leveled up to a level 5 Armed Dragon, we can immediately level up to level 7 Armed Dragon. If we have more level ups in our hand, we can even get to a level 10 Dragon in one turn. So it's really, really important that we take advantage of these whenever we can. Now we also need some more support cards, and a big problem that a monster focused deck like this could have is when it attacks, obviously you want to be protected from trap cards and stuff. So since we're not really going to be taking a whole lot of we're not going to be relying on a whole lot of trap cards, we can use Royal Decree to kind of negate our opponent's trap cards and protect us a little bit. So that's really, really important. If you want to get rid of the Royal Decree, it's also useful to use your Mystical Space Typhoons if you feel the need that you're going to be using Mirror Force or something soon. But now we have a glaring problem in the deck, which is something you want to focus on. If a deck has a glaring problem, you want to be able to get rid of it. So what we can notice here is we have relatively low attack monsters for our starting monsters that we're going to be leveling up. You see Armed Dragon level 3 has 1200 attack. Not the best thing in the world. It's probably not going to survive if we don't give it some help, which is what Mirror Force and stuff is for. I think I might even put a card that negates the battle phase. So what we can do here is we can look around. Okay, Horse of Black Flame, 16. That's pretty good. And what we're going to be focusing on a lot in this deck is having multiple cards on the field. So what we can do is we can go over to some equip cards, and those equip cards are going to directly help Horus and the Armed Dragon stay alive. So one of the best equip cards in the game, in my opinion, United We Stand. Really helpful. We're going to put 2 of those in there just so we have a good chance of drawing it. You do have to take note though that Horus is not affected by spell cards, so this is more for the Armed Dragon level 3, and it can be used to buff up any of your Armed Dragons really. I would suggest if you have a good feeling about where you're going and you think you're going to get the Armed Dragon level 10, save this save the United We Stands for the Armed Dragon level 10, because otherwise it's just going to get destroyed when you level up. So that's something to note. Let's see here now. What can we do? What can we do? Right now we're looking at 32 cards. We have 20 monsters. That's pretty good. We have 8 spell, 4 traps. That's also pretty good. We're liking our numbers here. It's getting pretty balanced out. But one thing that we have to note is this is the whole base of the deck, so we really want to give as much support as we can to this. That's always something you got to be thinking about during our standby phase. That is something that's really important. That means that we have to keep this card alive until the standby phase. So to do that, we want to skip our opponent's battle phase. That seems like the most direct thing that we could do to keep that card alive. So what we can do is we can find cards that would help us keep it alive. So what we can do is let's find, let's go over to B, and what can we put in here? It's somewhere in here. Here we go, Battle Fader. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand and end the battle phase of this card is special summon. Never mind, we don't want to do that. That is not what I wanted. What can we do? Where is Swift Scarecrow? Because I think that'll work. Also, let's put 2 of these in Swords of Revealing Light. Now that I'm here, it's always good to just add stuff in. You know, there's no reason not to. That's also declares a direct attack. So these 2 cards aren't what I thought were going to help us out as much, but that's okay. You always have to adjust when you're making a deck, so we're not going to be using those, but we do have something now that we can rely on in the form of the Swords of Revealing Light. So that's really good that we can have some bit of protection that is going to be more guaranteed. You do have to keep in mind though that Swords of Revealing Light, pretty big target for Mystical Space Typhoon. Always keep that in mind. When you're dueling, you always want to just assume that your opponent has an answer to what you just played, and you want to be 1 step ahead of him. Okay, so let's see here. What can we do now? We could put in some more supporting cards. We could do some funky stuff. Because I haven't actually made a deck like this, and this is all live, usually I do some research into stuff, but since this is just off the top of our head, we're going to do some funky stuff here. Let's make an annoying kind of deck. What can we do? Haha, Penguin Soldier. Penguin Soldiers are fun to mess around with. You can flip, you can target up to 2 monsters on the field, return those targets to the hand. What this allows you to do is something called a penguin. You get them in a penguin lock, which is when you put this card face down in defense position, then you can target a monster that attack this, and you can also target the Penguin Soldier, put it back in your hands, so that they have to keep resummoning monsters over and over again. It can be pretty useful to get somebody in a penguin lock. Now, because we're nearing the end of the deck, we have to take a look at it again. We have 22 monsters, that's pretty good. 10 spell cards, 4 trap cards. We could find some more trap cards, but because we're running Royal Decree in the deck, we don't really want to fill it up. What we're going to be doing here is trying to find some more spell cards that are useful to us right now. So what we can do is we can go into here, we can filter, and we're going to filter in just the spell cards that we think we're going to need. So what we can do is we can go into, let's try a field spell actually, this could be interesting. Because we're running mostly all dragons in this deck, we could find something that helps our dragons. Let's see here, Wind Monster. What do we want to do? Mountain, increase all dragon wind beasts by 200 points. That could be useful. You usually want to go with something that will buff them up a little bit more. So let's see what we got. All wind monsters by 500. We might be going with mountain here. Sanctuary in the sky, maybe. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be going with mountain. So we're going to go over to mountain. And let's pick up 2 of those. And because sometimes getting field spell cards when you need them is a little bit more important than you might think, we're going to go over to T, and we're going to draft in, where are you? Terraforming. Excuse me. Now that we've hit 40 cards, that's where we're going to be cutting off. Usually you don't want to go over 40 cards. There can be cases made where you do go over 40 cards, such as Lightsworn decks, which rely on lots of cards. But for this particular deck, we need cards coming into our hand that are always going to be useful for our situation, which we've done a pretty good job of making sure that almost all the cards that we could possibly draw are going to be useful to us in some way. So that's going to be it, guys. You can be sure to use this deck if you want to. I don't know, it's just something that obviously you saw right now I live threw together. So if you want to use it, go ahead. This is the recipe. You guys saw me make it, so you can go over that. This isn't as much preparation as goes into the best deck series, obviously. But if you guys want, you can always, Google stuff. You can Google suggestions that people have made for the deck, and then I wouldn't suggest that you just copy and paste the suggestions that people post online, because obviously those aren't fine-tuned to your playstyle. I have a more careful playstyle, something that's turned into like a one-turn kill kind of playstyle. My playstyle is kind of like swarm and then buff, so that I can get a one-turn kill. But your playstyle might be different. You might be super aggro and you're just whittling away at their life points all the time, or you might be more cautious. going for a late game. So it's all up to you, and you should build the deck however you play. That's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. If you have any questions or future ideas for the tips and tricks series, leave it in the comments below, and I will address it if I feel that there is a need to. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Get fucked. Get fucked. Get fucked. How's my dick taste, Kakashi?